Welcome to our tutorial on creating a 3D chess game using Java. In this video, we will not only focus on the mechanics of the game, but also delve deep into the graphical representation, user interactions, and the algorithms that power it. Let's start by setting up our project. We will use Java with the JavaFX library for the graphical interface and Java's built-in features for game logic. First, let's create a new Java project in your IDE. Open your IDE. I'm using IntelliJ IDEA. You can use any other IDE you prefer. Create a new Java project named Chess3D. Next, we need to include JavaFX. You can install JavaFX using Maven. In your project, create a pom.xml file and add the following dependencies. Now that we have JavaFX set up, let's start by creating the main class of our application. This will extend the application class from JavaFX. Create a new class named ChessGame. Now let's run our application to see if everything is set up correctly. If successful, you should see an empty window titled 3D Chess Game. Next, we need to represent our chessboard. The board consists of 64 squares arranged in an 8x8 grid. Let's create a class called chessboard that will handle this part. Here, we are creating a grid pane for our chessboard. Each square will be represented by a class that we will define next. Let's now create the square class, which will represent each square of the chessboard. It will also switch colors to create the checkerboard pattern. This square class includes a constructor that takes the row and column as parameters and sets the square's color based on its position. Next, we will incorporate our chessboard into the ChessGame class. Make sure to import the change rather than only initializing stack pane. Now, run your application again. You should see a nice 8x8 checkerboard pattern. Next, we need to add chess pieces onto the board. We can represent each piece with a class that extends from a basic class called chessPiece. Let's create the base class first. This class will define the basic structure for our chess pieces, including their name, color, and position. Now let's create a specific piece, like a rook. Here, we've added a specific chess piece, the rook, and overridden the isValidMove method. This will check whether the rook can move in a straight line horizontally or vertically. Next, let's add the other pieces such as knight, bishop, king, queen, and pawn. They will also extend the chess piece class and implement their movement rules correctly. Defining all pieces like this sets the groundwork for later, where we'll make the board interactive. For this tutorial's sake, I'll leave it to you implement those classes similarly. Next, we need to manage the pieces on the board. Let's modify our chessboard class to hold the pieces and draw them on the squares when initialized. Here, we have added an array to hold our pieces. During the initialization, we create pieces and draw them on their respective squares. Ensure to extend this to other pieces as well. Let's add the method to draw pieces onto the squares, which could be a simple implementation of setting an image or color where the piece will be drawn. To get an image path, you'll need to store images for the pieces in your resources folder. You could find or create image files of chess pieces as PNG files. When managing moves, we also need to capture user interaction. This means adding event handlers to the squares so they can respond to clicks. Here's how to do that. In this function, we set a click event handler for each square. When a square is clicked, it will call the handleSquareClick method, which we will define to manage the current piece and its valid moves. The handleSquareClick method will be responsible for selecting the piece on the square and checking whether the move is valid based on the current game state. This handling will be an essential part of our game, enabling the user to select pieces and move them across the board. You can implement logic to visualize valid moves of a piece after selecting it. As a next step, you can create visual feedback for valid moves. When a piece is selected, you may want to highlight possible squares. We'll keep that simple for the demonstration. Another key aspect of strategizing your chess game is enabling piece capturing and enforcing the rules of chess, including turns and game ends. You can create a game manager class to encapsulate this. This game manager maintains the game state and manages turns. You would handle the logic for piece movement and checking for victory conditions here as well. Let's now recap on how you could manage captures in the movement method of Game Manager. If a piece is on the target square, you will remove it from the board. This logic ensures that your chess pieces can move according to rules and capture opponents' pieces. Keep refining this to capture the full scope of rules in chess. Finally, let's wrap up by enhancing the user interface visually. Consider adding rotation and easing animations to the board transition during moves for a more 3D feel. Here, we use a rotate transition animation for pieces that move. Adding such effects will attract users and enhance gameplay aesthetics. With that, you've now implemented a basic structure for a playable 3D chess game in Java. This tutorial helped you set up your project with JavaFX, created a chessboard in pieces, allowed for user interaction, and managed moves and game rules. If you enjoyed this tutorial and would like to see more content like this, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for notifications. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments section below. Thanks for watching. Happy coding!